Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Anthony.
I'm Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Phillip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
that love what they do
and do tech
good.
You gotta get in on that.
I mean, yeah, that's like a new addition.
Yes, gotta jump in there too. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
Hey,
I love it.
Speaking of doing tech good, Pantheon.io is allowing us to do just that. Pantheon is a platform for WordPress and Drupal. They are help provide hosting, and also they have a test, live, and dev environment, so you can easily test stuff for your team. You can do everything through Git or SFTP if that's your gig. And they are supplying us with sponsorship this whole year. So thank you, Pantheon, for helping us out. Really appreciate that.
Don't they serve ice cream and stuff too? Something like that?
Yeah, they have an ice cream bar on Wednesdays. So go down to Pantheon and get your sundae on Wednesdays. Sunday on Wednesday. Boom. Get that banana split like you like.
Speaking of Wednesday, we're going to be in Tampa, well, Tuesday and Wednesday next week for, I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, right? Yeah,
it is.
For the VueConf at the Straz Arts Center in Tampa.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have a discount code, ThunderView50, and you get $50 off your ticket still. And there's still time. Come out and come out and see us, and you can come out and see us and hang out with us and see a lot of really great people talk.
Yeah, be a part of our live audience during the live stream. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That is a $50 discount. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good discount. I mean, those tickets are expensive, so get that little discount. And
I mean, that free ticket winner that won last week, I believe.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty good stuff. So speaking of free tickets, we will be later on in the show because I have to make an array. We will be announcing a Frontend Design Conference ticket winner. So we're going to run it live towards the end of the show, if that's cool with everybody. Also, guess what? We're speaking there. Like, how awesome is that? We're literally going to say words and things, and there'll be stuff on a screen that you can see, and you'll love us, and we'll love you, and it'll be amazing.
Frederick's promised a live rap show as well, I believe.
Stop.
Yeah, no problem with that. I'll drop that mic, son.
Completely. We're gonna be like, what is that group called? Run DMC. We're gonna be Run DMC, but like pink haired and like bow tied and like amazing. Just saying.
Yeah. That's going to happen. It's going to be a good time. So come see us and shake our hand and give me a big hug. I would love that. And yeah, we'll see you at the Frontend Design Conference. And yeah, in just a little bit, someone's going to win, or two people are going to win. Yeah, so awesome. So why don't we go ahead without any further ado and get to our very special guest. We have speaker, writer, UX design director, and the U-executioner himself, Andy Vitale. Welcome, Andy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm pretty pumped to be here on a Thursday night, but the lights just went out on the outside, so I might have to go real quick, just move in front of the motion sensor. So let me go through that first on the show.
No problem. Makes it extra spooky. Woo, where did Andy go?
Oh, man. So in the meantime, Frederick, can you tell us what you're licking?
Oh, this is my, I'll show you. It's my Hall's Kids lollipops, because I have a horrible cold and I've been living on these things, and yeah.
What flavor is it?
I've been very, very sick.
You can't tell by the
is cherry.
It's bad when you have to look. It's bad when you have to look at the packaging because you're not quite sure what that flavor is.
Well, it's not really a lollipop. It's that Hall's kind of flavor, but a lollipop. So it's like the in between. So yeah.
I feel like everything kids flavored is cherry. It's either cherry or grape, right? There's no other flavor.
Well, I feel like all of it is like.
Well, because they try to use that natural flavoring, and cherry, as you know, is beaver anus. So it's all natural, so it doesn't have any kind of poisons for the kids. I'm not making that up. It really is. It sounds funny, but I've eaten a beaver anus lollipop, and it's delicious.
He's actually not making it up. It's based on some chemical. Yeah.
No, it's beaver anus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Janelle is laughing, so Frederick just has to cry.
Janelle, what's going on?
Oh my god. Beaver anus?
Yeah, look. Beaver anus.
Okay, Frederick.
Anyway, Andy, how have you been, man? What you been up to?
Man, I'm good, but I think the bigger question is that true like beaver anus, or is it beaver anus extract? Because there's a
no, it really is like pieces of beaver anus.
All right, that's
look it up on Wikipedia. We'll put the link in the show notes.
I am muting myself.
How are your puppies, man? How are the Chihuahuas doing?
They're good, man. The Chihuahuas are great. They actually just had some dental work done, so they're not allowed to play with toys or really go out for a little while. But other than that, they're good. Just normal Chihuahua stuff. I've been good. I'm in Atlanta now, not Minneapolis. I got to escape a brutal winter just in the nick of time, which is amazing. The weather in Atlanta is really nice this time of year. We had some cold, and it's about to get hot as shit. But until then, like, I'm gonna enjoy it. I moved here for a new role, so I'm gonna explain it in like banking titles, right, and then go through like what I actually do. So, in banking titles, the officer title is Group Vice President. My actual title is Director of User Experience Design for Wholesale Banking, but also I've taken on this role of basically Head of UX Practice, and that's very easy. That is exactly what it sounds like, overseeing UX as a practice for SunTrust. Wholesale banking is where it gets a little bit trickier. So wholesale banking is business banking, but there are two types of businesses, right? So there's more like somebody that has potentially a smaller business, and they have a very consumerish type banking experience, so online banking for businesses. And then there's another area that we focus on, which is that enterprise banking financial company that has a finance department and has people that go ahead and like approve transactions and transfer money and approve credit cards, corporate cards, and things like that. So the team is focused on releasing 2 new products for serving both of those clients at the same time, which is super exciting. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, we announced that we're merging with BB&T. And the new joint venture will create what will be known as the 6th largest bank in the US. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Oh, wow. And it's great to be able to do that in the finance space, where to me, the bigger challenge of going from like healthcare to finance is understanding people's relationships with money, because it is a real sensitive situation. And even though like healthcare saves lives, like people pick up their phone and they look at their finances so many times a day or log in that we really are creating a deeper emotional connection when there's not this like dire need, or at least we hope there's not that dire need.
Yeah, I mean, that's people's money. It's their livelihood. There's so much, I imagine, that goes into there. Do you mind just kind of diving into a little bit of your day-to-day of what you're doing there and how that's different from maybe a normal kind of design lead role with those aspects of security and whatnot?
Sure. So, I mean, ultimately, our team has grown from about 9 to 32 over the last year and a half, 2 years. So I came in at the tail end of that, but there's been a lot of growth. And when you grow that scale that quickly, there's a lot of moving parts. So now it's really about finding those areas that we can start to create efficiencies and understand how we can roll out more things like a process across the enterprise. So it really took me a few months to understand the lay of the land, the landscape, and focus just on wholesale banking. From there, it's really understanding like the people on my team and the people they interact with and building those relationships so I can just get shit out of their way. It really is about helping them do their job the best that they can. So sometimes there's roadblocks that have to be removed, but a lot of times it's really just making sure the right people are in the right conversations. And all along that, it's looking at work, it's making sure that we're focusing on customer, it's working with our partners in research, we're working with our partners in UI. We went through, of course, like a very detailed like budgeting process, which was one of the most painful things that I've been through, but it's something that we had to do. And then really it's about understanding just the needs of the product that we're building. So, I mean, we've built like an HR framework since I've been here. We're working on like roles, responsibilities, truly like leveling things up inside like HR, because the banking titles, like I had mentioned earlier, are so crazy and different across the board. Someone might be a strategy manager or some other thing that doesn't really make sense related to the work that they're doing. So it really is part operations and focusing on, we have 3 like core tenets as a team. And those are like, SunTrust is big on this one team, right? We're all one team. We're all in this together. So it's about how do we measure against that, or how do we believe in that as a team? And then there's also like the craft of the work that we're doing. Like, how are we really focused on quality, that we're doing our best work and we're doing true user experience? So focusing on why people make decisions, behavioral aspects, that cognitive thing that sometimes is lost in UX today. It's a little bit watered down, and we're working through that also. We're building this curriculum of how do we really develop world-class talent. So there's so many things outside of just the day-to-day that I'm working on, that it's like there's no, like every day there's a million things that are happening, and they're all like, every day the needle moves a little bit, and it's really exciting to see.
I'll talk. Yeah, and definitely. And money is such a, I don't know. Money, I feel like, is a very, I think the responsibility is almost, like you said, you compared healthcare, it's on par with importance in people's lives, because if an error happens because of some silly user experience problem and they lose money, that can be a big deal. That can be a difference between someone being able to eat or pay their bills, or I mean, you name it. And it's like, yeah, what does that weight of responsibility feel like?
You know, I mean, it's something we take into consideration for sure. We're really interested in making sure that we're making ethical decisions and doing things right, and doing what's best for people. You know, I feel like that's where the design industry has kind of shifted, right? It really is about how do we meaningfully improve the current state. And we've got this exponential impact that we're making because the stakes truly are higher than they've ever been before. But, you know, as designers, we really have to be aware of the decisions that we make and the impact that they have and the implications that they have when our designs get in the wrong hands, whether they're intentional or unintentional. So it really is like, we feel the need to do right by the people that use our services, that bank with us, that have their money tied up with us in some way or another. You know, the banking term, they're clients, right? But they are people. They're not actually like a number or dollars in an account somewhere. Yeah. Like SunTrust is 100-plus-year-old bank that was built around community banking and really holds true even with BB&T. They've got such a presence in the community that they don't want to lose that community focus. It is about building banks in communities that we support.
Yeah, it's, wow, 100 years. That must be kind of like amazing to be working for a company that you know has been around like so long. Like there's so many startups and people are,
I know
it's like a 2-year company, and like, I work for here, and you're like, yeah, my company's been around 100 years. What's up?
Yeah, you definitely feel like some security with that. But you know, it's interesting too. There's a lot of companies that, not to go off topic, but since you're bringing it up, there's a lot of companies that bring up the fact that they've been in business for X amount of years. Like IBM used to start off by saying they've been in business for X amount of years, and that's how they pretty much started off everything before they talked, right? But with millennials, they look at companies that have been around for X amount of years, and they go, well, they probably aren't so easy to change, or they're set in their ways. So I don't really trust that brand. So it's interesting how things like that could conflict between different generations with brand trust.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because we do have that solid foundation. SunTrust, actually, what I learned when I was hired here, is one of the banks that even through like 9/11 and the recession, like we didn't lose tons of people. We didn't let anybody go. We continued to grow at that point. It's of course been through like series of like, we'll call them acquisitions. You know, there's probably a more technical banking term for it. But ultimately, like this company is rooted into, like I said, the community. But the thing is, like, the curse of that is there are these startups that can move a little bit faster than us, right? The banking industry, the financial industry, like, it's been relatively, I don't want to say the same, but it's been, there hasn't been huge like innovations from time to time, right? There's always this startup that's doing something right, and there's this like follow, whether it be a fast follow or catching up before there's the ability to leapfrog by these larger banks. But I mean, ultimately, what sold me here is the vision that the team, my boss, that they all have about, like, we really want to improve banking. We understand that the financial industry is evolving, and he's like, let's do this. Like, this is the chance to really, like, not just catch up to certain things. Like, let's do things right. Let's build the right thing and let's do this shit. Like, really, like, I got excited about just the message that we have internally of what we want to do. It doesn't always move as fast as we'd like, but it will.
How do you move rapidly in a situation where there's so much regulations and rules that you have to follow? Do you do a lot of internal stuff that doesn't see the light of day for a while, or how does that work?
Everything that we're working on is for release this year, whether it be release for a pilot or go full general availability. And these are new products. So, I mean, the legal team that we have, the product people that we have, the people that have been around banking for a while, they know those regulations inside and out, and they stay up to date with them. Of course, as designers, we're like pushing. We wouldn't be doing our job if we're not making people feel uncomfortable, or we're not making them think that, oh, wait, like, we probably can't do that. We have to do that. And they're there to, like, even that out for us, to make sure that we are staying legal and compliant with all of the different regulations in banking. But ultimately, like, we just want to move, and we're moving. We're agile transformation. Like, we've got in wholesale, we're almost at balanced teams, and that truly is like having a UX designer, a UI designer, and a researcher on each individual Scrum team. Oh, so nice. We're able to attack things as hard and as fast as we can, but the right way.
Go ahead, Jado.
Oh, thanks. So, just quick question: are you saying that, like, you guys, as a team, get a researcher, so you get someone that, like, has business knowledge while you're designing, and you have them readily accessible to you?
Well, that would be more of an internal stakeholder than a researcher. At least, we would have more of a design researcher, right? So our design researchers are understanding, they're out there trying to understand the behaviors of the customers. And at the same time, they're helping us validate design decisions. And as they start to shift, again, our team is relatively new, especially in a banking organization, financial organization this old, this history and tradition. We are, like, our goal is to understand the customer better than anyone else, whether that be the people that we work with, but we want to share that knowledge, of course. But we really do want to understand what drives our customers and what drives their behaviors, more than just knowing, like, some of the banking trends that are happening. We have people here that can do that. We have our marketing research. We have our insights research. We have an accelerator studio, and they focus on, we've got futurists that are all about foresighting. And, like, there's some cool things. Like, there are people working on the bank of, like, 20 years from now on the futurist level. And at least, like, we put together some concepts, we play around with that. Like, none of that may actually see the light of day, but it will shift where we go. It'll help provide a North Star that changes over time, obviously, but because we don't know what the future actually holds. Although yesterday we're going through job descriptions, and I sent a text message in our group chat. I was like, hey, you don't have to send me the job description for a futurist role. I have it right here. And it was just a GIF of someone looking through a crystal ball. But, I mean,
I like that.
That's awesome.
Accurate job description. Love it.
Andy, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the unknown UX challenges that designers might not be thinking about when it comes to this industry? When you're taking on junior designers under your wing, you're saying, like, hey, look out for this, or we got to think about blockchain, or what is blockchain, and then right. What are those kind of things that you come across?
Yeah, blockchain has come across my my ears in discussions on the technology side, but it hasn't really come across like my desk as far as work that we're actively working on. It's not directly on like the roadmap that my team is working on. We're focused on these 2 products, these huge products that we're trying to release this year. But I mean, on the wholesale side is where I see the biggest like shift, because on the consumer side, everybody has their own bank that they deal with. They are their own like consumer user for banking. When you get to the wholesale side, when you're dealing with people, yes, some of the designers, probably not the younger ones, have maybe been part of a business, have owned a business, had done freelancing in the past, so they understand online banking. But when you get to like large corporations that have finance departments, like it's hard to think like they do. It's hard to understand their workflow without actually getting into it with them. So I do see from time to time that we have this consumer lens that we put on some of the wholesale stuff. And then we realize that maybe maybe they didn't want flashy. Maybe they didn't need the animation that brought delight to designers or consumers. Maybe they just needed, us to use more of that real estate instead of giving them white space. So we're working through a lot of that as we build this design system that we're working on. Because again, like our team was just, as we grew, it was like, you're working on this and this and this and this. And then finally it's like, you know what, you don't have to work on 15 things, because it's better to move 2 or 3 things 100% than to move 15 things 5 or 10%. So we're finally getting that, like that scale that we need. So it's getting good.
I love that. It's an awesome motto to go by, and I like the focus on front end and how there's a big difference between customers and not like regular customers and your, I guess, enterprise and wholesale, like you said, wholesale people. It's a very different environment. And speaking of front end,
is there a front end thing?
I love it. Okay, so it's totally available right now. Let's all take a look.
What's available? What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so cool. You guys, hey, I wrote something in JavaScript because today I'm on a Windows computer. So I don't know how to Ruby on a Windows computer. Please don't judge me, y'all. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to go to code.
Did you write something in .NET?
Definitely 100% .NET, C#. I think I did a little bit of ADA. It's
ASP.
Fine. All right, let me share my screen.
Nothing wrong with any of those languages, people.
There is not. There is not. I just don't know any of them. So
we're just talking about Windows applications.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so let's share. Now we're gonna see Brian's Andy's beautiful face a million times.
Nice.
Alrighty. And here we are. So here are the list of names right up here. So const names, and then we have a random FEDC winner names, and then we're going to return the names math.floor, math.random times names.length, and then we're going to alert the random winner.
I know we're going to have someone respond to this and be like, you could have done that this way instead.
I know, right? I could have done it in Ruby in 5 strokes, right?
And in case you're listening to this on the audio podcast, go back to the video podcast so you could see Janelle's code.
It's pretty dope. Not gonna
Make sure to critique it.
It has an alert, so no one yell at me.
Leave a comment.
It's literally an alert. Leave me alone. I did this literally in 7 minutes. Okay, so everybody ready?
We are all ready.
I don't know. I can't hear everybody.
Fingers crossed that it's not going to crash.
Yeah, right. Her whole computer crashes.
It is a Windows machine.
Phillip Lovelace. Pixel flips.
Pixel flips.
Linda Lovelace?
No. Phillip Lovelace.
Phillip Lovelace. Phillip Lovelace. All right.
How lovely. Cool. You are the winner. Congratulations.
Yay!
Nice.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, we'll be tweeting that out in just a little bit, but congratulations to the winner. So wait, we're giving away 2 tickets, aren't we?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's do it again. You all ready?
Yeah.
We're going to take Phillip Lovelace out of this array.
He wins twice. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Even though you take him out.
Let me share my screen. Right? That would be the worst. He'd be like,
Make sure you mark it in the doc, too, who won, Janelle.
I already
Nope, incorrect.
Yeah,
Not doing that. All right, sharing my screen one more time.
One more time.
And then I'm going to take Phillip's full name out because we don't need that. And Alex Riviere at
Nice. Congratulations to you. Two winners.
Awesome.
2 high fives. Boom.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
It's okay. I'll send it to you. It's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
It was Alex Riviere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I look forward to seeing both of them at the Frontend Design Conference, and I don't know the full layout of the conference yet, so I hope they come to my session if I'm going head-to-head with somebody else.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. We're super excited to be there. And yeah, congratulations, guys. And everyone, please come out and see us. It's going to be on, April 25th and 26th at the Palladium Theater in St. Petersburg. So, hey, and speaking of the Frontend Design Conference, Andy, you're also going to give a talk there. Do you mind if we kind of tease your talk a little bit and talk a little bit about your talk? Yeah. Hit us.
All right. So
what you talking about?
My talk is called Always Designing, from designer to design leader. And what it's really about is that for people that are in this transition period where they're kind of ready to take on more responsibility at work, they're ready for taking that next step. This is going to kind of give them a little bit of an understanding of what that next step is. And, the truth is being a design leader is not the same as design leadership, but we'll touch upon a few different types of leaders, right? So there is this formal title of leadership that will come. These opportunities will present themselves, but it could be something that like, hey, maybe you're for the first time going to be in charge of people or projects, right? But then maybe it's somebody that's a little bit further along in their career and they're going to manage people who manage other people, or maybe actually like run design for an organization, or maybe they just want to be a thought leader. We're going to talk about those different types of things. We're going to talk about the different types of qualities that a leader may have, and there's a lot of them, right? There's definitely, depending on what level you're leading on, there's just tips, right? Things that you should do, things that you should be aware of, things that will help you grow in your career. There's also a few different types of leaders, and we'll definitely touch upon those to really understand the difference and maybe at the same time have some empathy for your boss. Also, to be a leader, you can't really be the same exact person all the time, right? There's different voices that we have to use. There's somebody named Amy Jen Su who wrote a book called Own the Room, and it talks about the different voices of a leader, and we'll start to go into what those voices are. But the truth is, right, like no matter where you are in your career, even though the complexities of what you work on change, the designing never stops. Maybe you're not designing pixels, right? Maybe you're responsible for the person that designs the pixels, or maybe you're designing an organization as a whole. Like these are big things, and there's a lot of pitfalls that you can reach. We'll also talk about how you can be a leader no matter where you are in your career. If you're an emerging designer, someone that's relatively new to design, like there are ways that you can lead and inspire others. And, again, like mid to senior level. And then I'll also talk about one of my first bosses at my first job when I worked in Florida for a company that was making flyers for a newspaper, an electronics retailer. And it's really like one of my worst bosses that I ever had. And it's like a little bit PTSD, but at the same time, like it's a really great story to share. And while we're on that, I don't want to give mine away, but I would love to hear like some of your worst boss experiences if you're not working for them currently.
Hands up right here. I started writing it down because I wanted to tell it because it made me think of it. And it was really funny because I was thinking of first job experiences. My first job ended with a interrogation by the FBI.
What?
True story. So I'll briefly just touch on it and get the next person could go. And they are listening. They're always listening. But yeah, so my first job was I worked for this guy that opened up these different companies all over the country. And he was a guy from London. And he would open up all these franchises and all these web shops. And I worked at this one called Website Mill, which was kind of like a Wix or Squarespace back in 2000. Or 2001, something like that. No, it's 2000. Yeah. And anyway, he was trying to get investors to invest. He wanted to get employees to invest. So he had all these people that gave him like tens of thousands of dollars. And then he would bankrupt the company, take all the money, and split town. And he did it all over the country and left for Europe.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we were all like, what the heck? We're not getting paid. Where'd this guy go? Nobody knows. People came to close down the building, and the FBI came and asking about him. I had to go down to the FBI and give like, what do you know about this guy? Like everything. I had to like meet them like 3 or 4 times.
Can I jump in and tell my FBI story also?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So one of my first jobs, but not my very first, I worked for the tabloids. I was responsible. So the Sun, the Star, the Inquirer, Weekly World News, all of those. We were the subject of the first anthrax attack in the United States. So this was 2001, right before the news stations got hit, like the week before. Our photo editor received a package in the mail and he died from inhalation anthrax. So I left on a Friday. And the whole story that led up to it is kind of crazy too. Like I was there on a Wednesday and they installed a new PA system. And then like the following day, and I might be off on like the days slightly, but then I remember like they handed out this flyer that someone had gotten anthrax, but maybe from a stream in North Carolina. Then they used the PA system and told us not to talk to anybody from the news, that they were going to be walking around. All I know is that one day there was somebody in a hazmat suit in the office and I was like, all right, whatever, swabbing the desk next to mine. It's fine. What I do remember the most is I got a call that Monday morning from my dad, and he said, hey, your company is on the news. Like, you need to go down to the health department. We went down to the health department. They said, hey, sign this paperwork. There's anthrax. We're going to go ahead and, like, test you, and we're going to take care of you if there's anything. So you sign this. You can't sue us. We'll treat you. We ended up going down to a hotel ballroom in Delray Beach, Florida. And the FBI, the CDC, the Florida Department of Health sat us down in this room and said, hey, we honestly don't know what's going to happen to you. Like, we can't tell you if you're going to live through this or not. We know that there was an anthrax outbreak in the 60s in Russia, and we gave them, there was this Cipro 60 days. There were no more dormant. The spores die after a while. So, like, we're going to give you 60 days of medication. We're going to monitor you. So we'd get a nasal swab. They would then call us up. This was a Wednesday. Every Wednesday was nasal swab Wednesday. We'd go get a nasal swab. They'd be like, hey, everything looks good. You're good to go. And then we'd hear that special alert tone on the news, which at that point, you're probably having a panic attack by the 3rd or 4th time when you find out another employee was hospitalized. And then they call back and they say, hey, by the way, those tests were inconclusive. We got to do it again. And it would go on like on a weekly basis. Ultimately, they offered us the vaccine. I didn't take it. The real crazy story about that, 2-part. Rudy Giuliani's company bought that as when he was trying to do this like environmental cleanliness to try to like clean out that area. And then like months later, they were like, we can return some of your personal items. They've been sealed in a gas, like formaldehyde gas bag if you want them back. And I was like, no, thanks. I'll pass on that. So, it was, and again, like, that's not my worst job story. That one's going to come at the Frontend Design Conference. But hey, I had to get that plug in. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, geez, man. I remember actually, as you started talking about it, I think you told the story on User Defenders. I remember listening to this in the car, and you were talking to Jason, and I remember the part where you were saying you heard over the loudspeaker, or you were like, why is this P system going in? And you were like, oh, yeah. I get it.
Exactly. Hey, are you hosting next week's User Defenders? Co-hosting?
Yeah, I'm hosting with Jason. Yeah, we already recorded it.
Nice. And I'm the week after.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that guy. We'll put a link in the show notes to that episode too, so everybody can listen to it. But yeah, man, that's so scary.
Well, I don't have any FBI stories, so I think mine is going to be not as good. What about you, Brian?
Everybody's story is from their own experiences, and I'm excited.
I don't really think I have a job one, but I do have an FBI crazy. I don't know if they're FBI, but a crazy story related to the FBI or just CIA, whoever came. I lived 9/11. The pilots trained in my hometown of Venice, Florida. And I was at the time working in medicine, and I was doing clinicals, and they sent us home because the planes hit the towers, and they didn't know what else was going on. And since I was in Sarasota, the president was actually going to be in Sarasota at the time. I'm sure Frederick remembers that. And so they sent us home. I got home, and when I was pulling into my neighborhood, I noticed there was a car, like a weird car that seemed out of place, like all black, like clearly it just looked weird. And then I pulled into my house driveway, and maybe like 10 minutes later, I look out, the entire neighborhood is sectioned off. There are, I don't know how many, I guess FBI cars in the neighborhood, but there were a lot. They had blocked off our whole block. It turns out they lived 2 doors down from where I lived.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And it gets even more crazy. And it's actually kind of amazing in a way that they responded that quickly, because the towers just hit and they were in our neighborhood like maybe 2 hours after the planes hit. So that gives you a sign of how much information they were able to get and how quickly they responded. But it gets crazier because I was also working at Circuit City at the time, part-time, if anyone remembers what Circuit City is. And I was at customer service counter, and a whole bunch of suits came in that, again, they looked like FBI, and they grabbed a computer that had been turned in for repair, and had been in the back for like months. And
it was his computer?
It turns out, yeah, it was someone related to its computer, and it had when they were looking at it, they saw all these our technicians saw all these plans for the towers, essentially.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Fucking scary.
Yeah, that it was, especially the neighborhood one was crazy. You never know who your neighbors are. But yeah, that's my crazy FBI story. Janelle, do you got one?
No FBI stories. I do have some pretty awesome, terrible boss jokes. Not jokes. Some stories. However, I will only tell you one. And this is from when I was younger, I guess. So I used to be a bartender before I became a developer. And a server. So before I became a full-time bartender, I had a boss who I was very excited about everything, right? This was my first job, really. I've never really served very much. I've just been a cocktail server before. So now I'm being full-time, serving the food, being awesome. And so I thought I was the best. And so I go up to my boss. I'm like, hey, boss, I would like to put in some interest in being a bartender because one of your bartenders just quit. And he was like, oh, right. Yeah, I was supposed to fire you a week ago.
What?
Yeah, he's like, you are a horrendous server. You're not good at your job, at all.
He's like, you're still here?
Yeah, he's like, I totally forgot you existed.
Oh my God, what the hell?
A horrible thing to say. Jeez.
I know, it was really terrible. However, it made me, I think, much better as a server. I was like, oh, heard? Oh, you think I'm terrible? Let me prove you completely wrong. And so I became a bartender. And he ended up quitting. And just recently, which is pretty cool, he became a, what are those called? A recruiter?
Therapist?
No, a recruiter. A tech recruiter, and actually messaged me and was like, oh, Janelle, I hear you're looking for a job. And I was like, I don't know. I feel have you been fired recently? I don't know if your boss has told you, but you kind of suck as a recruiter. They haven't told you yet, but so yeah, it was pretty fun. That's the only I guess worst boss story I think I can tell.
It's funny how that came back around. Later.
Yeah, it was really cool. He's like, oh, Janelle, you need a job? And I was like, no, not even a little bit, sir, but thank you.
Wow.
It's pretty nice.
Can I tell a recruiter story too? I've got
I would love that.
It's actually not a great recruiter story, so I really have to this person probably people that know this person are definitely like tuning into this. So it's a corporate recruiter. Shortly after I started a role that this person was the recruiter that brought me on, literally handled my hiring. I'm a week or two into a job. I open up a role under me. I get a message on LinkedIn that says, hey, I noticed your profile and you're in Atlanta. It matches this role that I'm looking for at this place. And I was like, hey, you do know that A, you hired me like 2 weeks ago, and B, this role reports to me. Like I talked to you about this role. And they're like,
oh my God.
Were they like, fuck?
I'm never going to let you handle anything else again.
You're like, oh, you beautiful tropical fish.
Well, they probably are trying to get so many people out the door to get their commissions. But I mean, that's just that's not acceptable.
No. Hey, how about Marquette dropped the ball today? I would have had a perfect bracket for the day.
Brian?
What? Sports ball.
Oh,
Brian, you speak sports ball.
I speak and some NBA. I do not speak any other sports ball. Frederick is
March Madness, man.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to it. I used to, but not so much anymore. All I care about is the players that might end up on the Cavs.
All right, we have like a $50 restaurant gift card for the office pool. So
really?
So it's got some interest here for that.
Yeah, I played it.
Which restaurant?
What?
I don't even know.
Well, yeah, that may matter. I mean, what if it's like, I don't know, Denny's or something? I guess that.
Right, yeah. Like if it's Denny's, like I don't need to learn sports ball at all. Yeah, but if it's like something fancy, like if it's like a food truck that everybody wants to go to, like I'm down for that.
If it's $50 at Denny's, like I can take my whole department out for like pancakes.
Four times.
Exactly.
So get that coffee and French fries, son.
Yeah, it's a win-win. I'll take it.
Speaking of taking people out and going to things, you do a lot of going to conferences and doing talks and interviews. You're very active all over the place.
What's that about?
Yeah, what is it? What is it like? What is that experience like to be, traveling and doing all that?
Yeah, I would love to say that it's like the worst experience and so hard and so tough. And at the same time, I would love to say it's so glamorous, right? The truth is, it really, like, I'm so fortunate and appreciative and grateful for this opportunity that I've been given to make myself uncomfortable in the beginning, to do something outside of my comfort zone and speak. And for that to be able to relate to people who feel the authenticity and passion that I actually have. I feel like the design me so much over the years, whether that be advice, help, support, just like this great community, that I'm in this position now that I have a story that I can share, experiences where I can start to give back and start to really build relationships. And really more so than speaking at a conference or going to a fancy dinner or just like getting to hear other speakers talk. It's when I get to go home and I get these emails that are like, what you said really connected with me. Like, I'm going through a similar thing. Is it okay if you can like meet with me for a half hour? Like, that ability to have these personal connections and really help people where they're at in their career are what make it all worth it. I mean, it's great that I get to travel and see different places. And, I try to never really give the same exact talk twice. I try to like really pay attention to what's happening and make it more relevant to what's going on through the rest of the conference. But really just like, I'm so grateful that I have this chance to just share what I've been through and let people know that they're not alone in what they're going through and that things are going to get better and people could grow and design is great. And like, this shit's not easy, but it's fun. And we really, as a design community, exactly, we're doing important work. And we're solving real problems, and it's great. Like, I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, one of my most important. Yeah, exactly. One of my most important parts of doing the show, I've said it repeatedly, is you're an industry celebrity. I don't know if you know this, and I like to make humanize you and make it more recognizable that, hey, you have struggles, you have things that you go through. Preparing your talks, what are some personal struggles you faced? And I'll answer that first before I have a whole bunch of questions.
So personal struggles I faced while preparing talks.
Yeah.
Time, finding the time to really say what I want, having the ability to, I guess, not test it out, but get feedback, right? Sometimes that's not real easy. Other times, it's like anytime you do work for yourself, anytime you're designing for yourself, you're never satisfied, right? It could always be better. So it's like, really, where do I cut it off that it's good enough that I could go with it? And then I can continue to evolve it as I go on. So I rely a lot on my team, on local, like IXDA, AIGA, UXPA, IDSA, that community really helps me work on my talk, and they're very supportive and give me true feedback in whatever city they happen to be in, wherever I am. I really feel like the hardest part is being happy with it when you walk away. So it really is finding that cutoff point where you know what, this has got some good content. It might not be the greatest talk of all time, but it's going to connect with people.
Have you ever had to skip out on a meetup or skip out on a talk, or maybe when you're sick or something?
Yes. And it's the worst feeling in the world. I had to do it 2 times. Now, there have been talks that fall through from time to time. Someone's like, yes, we're going to do it. And then it never happens. I was supposed to go to India for Design Up last year, and it ended up conflicting. New role. I was in my role for 2 months, maybe not even. And it was a day I was about to meet most of the executives and have a chance to pitch to them. And I just could not. I had to pull out of that conference, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do it next year. Also, there's a local general assembly by us, and I really want to help mentor a lot of the new people into design. So I had agreed to actually facilitate a panel discussion. And I had a family emergency in Florida. My grandmother got really sick, so I had to leave earlier than I anticipated to go. And although I feel really bad about having to miss that, while I was there, I got to see my grandmother, and she actually passed away while I was there. So I got to stay there for all of that and see that through. And that was just in February.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thanks. I appreciate that. They were very supportive through the whole process. So I feel again, it's the relationships that you build.
What would you say is the most valuable thing that you've learned from all these experiences?
I think that people in the audience know a lot of what you're saying, and they're just there for you to validate the beliefs that they have. They want someone else to basically say what they know, say what they're thinking. So I feel like I'm not actually truly teaching people. I'm just validating their own thoughts.
What advice would you give?
Realize,
go ahead. Sorry. Go. No. Finish your thought, and I'll come in after.
No, I don't even know where I was going with that. So it's fine.
Well, what do you think is, some good advice for not only people who are listening to your talk, but also those who might want to get started with speaking as well?
So if you're listening to my talk, pay attention. That's all. No, I mean, just, I really appreciate when people find a little nugget that they share on the internet, of course. That's meaningful to me. It lets me know that something hit home. So I do appreciate that. For people that want to speak, go out and do it. It's worth it. People are not going to disagree with you. They're not going to shit talk you. They want to see you succeed, and they want to see you do well. And most people in the audience are there to lend their support and also take things away from your talk. So don't think that your story isn't going to give somebody something tangible to take with them and take back to work with them. Don't let imposter syndrome, and we're going to talk a little bit about this at the conference, but don't let that imposter syndrome get in the way. Your story, your experiences are yours, and nobody else, no matter what you may have seen or read, has the same exact story. So don't be afraid to tell it.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say, I started my own Figma meetup in St. Pete. It's Figma Tampa Bay, and look it up. We'll have a link in the show notes. And because of that, I did a talk too. I did a talk, and it went really well, and I met some great people. I got involved in some local communities. I met some people that helped me get the new job that I'm starting next week. And so it's putting yourself out there can help you take the next step. So definitely.
Yeah. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I do have to call out that I am an Adobe XD guy, but
I mean, everyone
whatever
mistakes. It's okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of the times it's about making that actual handshake, and turning those handshakes into hugs and having those human connections. You could make as many virtual handshakes as you want, but actually getting into the community and interacting with real humans and making those authentic relationships. It's all about relationship building and putting a light on that and shining a spotlight on that.
It's true. I want to say two things. So I did mention a tool. You mentioned a tool. It's not about tools. Tools evolve. Tools.
Are you talking
change.
about Brian again? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
nope. But the tools will change throughout your career. It's about knowing how to actually think and solve problems. But also beyond that, it really is like we talk a lot about empathy and relationship building. And as much as designers, we could be introverts or extroverts. We build these relationships not in real life. Those real life connections are really like so important to make. Like at a conference, go out of your way to talk to somebody that you haven't met, that might be sitting at a table by themselves. Invite them over. Like you don't know, that person might be someone that 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now might come across a role and it might be good for you. And that's the connection that you made. You never know how it turns out.
Yep, and you can help other people in the field as well by connecting with them. Like when they need help or are looking for a job, you might have an opportunity for them. So help each other. But we're getting really short on time, and there's a bunch of things we still want to do, including my spotlight question, which is a group question. Again, it's getting down into each of us personally, and I'll go first. The guest goes last, and it's if anyone follows me on Twitter, they'll recognize this question because I actually tweet out a response. Sesame Street, actually, everyone seen Sesame Street here first?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sesame Street did a tweet where they said, if you were trapped on a deserted island, which of these Sesame Street characters would you want to be with? Grover, Elmo, Cookie Monster, or Oscar? Now, my answer is Oscar. I don't really want to give the reason why because I don't want to influence anyone else. So I will let it flow from there.
Well, you got to give the reason.
No, I will after you guys answer.
Okay, so what's the choices again? It's Elmo, Cookie Monster.
Grover, Elmo, Cookie Monster, Oscar.
Oscar? Who's Oscar? Oh, the Grouch.
Grouch.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go. I would definitely probably go with Oscar because he's probably the more.
Don't give your reason.
Don't give a reason? Okay.
You don't want to influence
Oscar. Okay.
Janelle?
I can't pick an alternative.
Nope, you have to be asked to be one of those four. Sesame Street asked it.
Okay, so probably Grover.
Okay.
Andy?
So I would have to use some deductive reasoning.
I did too.
And think like, is it Grover or is it Super Grover? Right? Because Super Grover,
he could fly and take you away.
Fly me out of there. Then also, if it's Cookie Monster, does he have cookies? Because if he doesn't have cookies, he's going to be more grouchy than Oscar. So I feel like Cookie Monster, if he's got food, would be great. Now, Oscar, I feel like I would just love to just like hang out with him. Who was the fourth option?
Elmo.
I don't know if Elmo was around when I watched Sesame Street. Like Gordon was the man back then, right? So I don't want Elmo because his voice would annoy me. Is Elmo a guy? I don't even know what gender Elmo is.
I think Elmo is undetermined.
Okay, so
I think they're all undetermined, right? They're just monsters.
Probably, yeah.
They're just monsters.
Monsters, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Oscar. I think his I think the curmudgeon that he is will keep me entertained.
Yeah, okay, so my rationale was Grover, Super Grover, it's a good point, but Grover in general was always kind of annoyingly anxious. Elmo is way too enthusiastic to the point of annoyance. And Cookie Monster, yes, if he has cookies, that'd be great, but he only has a limited amount of cookies. And when he comes down off of that cookie sugar rush, That's not going to be good. That's going to be really bad. And Oscar's trash can is essentially Mary Poppins' purse. He's pulled ladders out of that thing.
It's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
that's why I picked him. He's Doctor Who.
Yeah, you have no idea what's in that trash can, and I also love his kind of like dry sense of humor. I think it'd be great to hang out with him. So that's my rationale.
I'll just give you a ditto because that's why I picked him.
Awesome. Okay, so
I picked Grover though.
Yeah, why
and the reason why I picked Grover was because I especially was like, okay, if I'm on a deserted island, one, I'm gonna die because I don't have any medication. So that's gonna be instantaneous. So if I'm gonna die, I want to go out like with someone super positive, right? Who's gonna be like, yeah, maybe I'm anxious, but it's cool. We could both be like weird and anxious together. Like,
let's count.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it'll be like super supportive. We could jog around the deserted island. We could go swimming. You know, we could be friends. And then, you know, our inevitable demise because we both die because there's no food.
I wonder how long you could survive on eating a Sesame Street Muppet.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
How good is Muppet meat?
No, you don't eat
If you eat Muppet meat, does it turn you into a Muppet? Is that how one becomes a Muppet?
I'm there already. It's a thing.
Do not eat the Muppets.
You heard it here. Eat Muppets.
But you know what would be on Desert Island probably? Possibly some lightning from Storm.
Ooh, yeah.
There should be a round of lightning.
There should be a total round of lightning. So speaking of lightning rounds, let's do a lightning round. This is where we ask you a bunch of questions, but really fast. Alrighty, so ready?
These are all for you, Andy.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is there an order?
All yours. No, we just like randomly say things.
Yeah, each of us is gonna ask you a question.
Detailed answer or like quick answer?
It could be quick or it could be detailed, but we prefer quick.
Okay.
All right. Favorite alcohol?
Bourbon.
Favorite cartoon as a kid?
The Smurfs as a young child. And then Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
Favorite cereal?
Waffle Crisp. It used to be Eggo cereal.
If you could be any writing utensil, what would it be?
Pencil. Apple pencil.
What's your favorite anime?
The new Godzilla on Netflix, but not the first one because it was boring and you didn't see Godzilla until like the very end.
Rain or sunshine?
Sunshine on a rainy day.
What's your current favorite font?
The one I'm using in my talk, and I don't remember the name of it because they gave it to me as a sample, and I feel really bad. It is Domain Display Narrow Bold. Done.
Ooh, we got to look that one up. We'll put that in the show notes. Freestyle rap, go.
I don't have a freestyle rap. I got some Public Enemy, but I don't know if it's safe for the YouTubes or my career in general to be the white guy rapping the Public Enemy. So, but I will join you on stage at Frontend Design Conference for your rap, and I will throw something in, and it will be truly freestyle, not something I've prepared.
Perfect. All right.
Brian, this is you.
Sorry, I'm very distracted by that. Is it okay to cry?
Sure.
Could you live without a dentist or without a vision doctor?
Fuck them both. I don't need them.
Andy, you come home. It's 1 a.m. You walk in your house. There's a ghost. What do?
I think I examine it a little bit closer because I'd be intrigued, and also I change my underwear.
Well said.
That's all.
Yeah, I think
that's all. Yeah. That's all for us.
I think we're at the end. Eddie, how can people find out more about you? What's your website and what's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, so probably the last time I was on, I said I had a real bad website that just has a list of blogs or articles I've written and places I'm speaking. And guess what? It hasn't changed. I really need someone to have time.
No, there's some more additions on there.
Yeah. It keeps growing, but it doesn't change in visual appeal. It looks like it was built in 1995. I actually traded a developer that I worked with a bottle of Maker's Mark for coding that so that I could easily go in and add things to it.
Nice.
But AndyVitale.com, Andy Vitale on Twitter, everywhere else. Instagram, you'll probably be disappointed unless you love food.
I do.
LinkedIn is probably the best place to reach me directly. And that's, same thing everywhere.
What type of food on Instagram?
Everything. I do not discriminate when it comes to food.
Just turkey burgers.
Just turkey burgers.
Only turkey burgers. Andy, last question. Do you have any kind of words of wisdom for our audience? Anything that you could share, pass along?
Yeah, I mean, the key really now is like design is starting to really get into problem solving that really has an impact in the world. So understand that the things that you're designing can be used for the wrong reasons by the wrong people. So understand the implications of people that could potentially use your product in a way that you didn't mean to, and understand the responsibility that you have to make things better for the world, for the people that are in it, the people that we live with, and the people that we interact with day to day. So whatever just don't be an asshole.
Well said.
Well said.
To echo what Brian said earlier about, how we really love to bring people like yourself into the spotlight and make it more of a human story and break it down into the authentic parts of who you are and what you do. And, you have real struggles too. Like that's what it's all about. And I think what you just outlined there, and if you want to take that, one line at the end, don't be an asshole. Like it's about, we all want to be good people and we all want to help each other out. And we're just all here to, get through life and have a good time and be with our family and friends and try to make some good stuff while we're doing it.
Hell yeah. And anybody that's out there listening, if I can help you in any way in your design career, reach out, find me, track me down. Let me know how I can help you.
We'll have his phone number in the show notes.
Yeah, don't call me.
Come down to the Frontend Design Conference in April and actually see Andy. You don't be afraid. You could actually go up to him and say hello and shake his hand, give him a hug and talk.
I'm gonna have new pins. I'm gonna have
buy him a bourbon.
Oh, I want a pin.
Yeah, I love your pins.
Did you see his pins? All right,
so,
that's a whole story. It's like
here's the sticker that this will be a pin, but we also have other pins.
Save me a pin.
Let's see the pins.
I'm trying to get in there. I don't know if you can see.
Those are dope.
It is an awesome pin for our audio listeners.
So that'll be pins. So come say hello and I will give you one.
Awesome.
Nice.
Can we say hello twice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything else for Andy?
No, just thanks for coming on the show. And
yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you. I love spending time with you guys. I wish that we did it more.
All right, well, we'll make that happen.
Quarterly checkup.
We actually will do that more in April. So
Yes.
We'll be seeing you and we'll talk to you again. Yeah, thank you so much, Andy. And thanks everybody for watching and congratulations to our winners of the conference.
Yeah. See you, everyone.
Doodles.
See you guys.